What is going on, guys? New York Sports Podcast here, and today we're breaking down Joe Schoen's press conference. This guy had a press conference, and I tell you what, it was like any Joe Schoen press conference. Nothing get done. A lot of words, not a lot of things, but the biggest thing that it kind of wrapped my brain around that, listen, I know being the GM of a team that has not had a lot of success is hard, right? And I'm not defending Joe Schoen, so don't even give me that for the 32 seconds of this video. I'm not saying that. I know I remember a while back I said that both Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen should be fired like last season, get everyone out there, now. But, Brian Daboll goes, and Joe Schoen says ownership took action, which I get it. John Mara is the tallest of the table, head of the table of the franchise. So him making the decision, I understand that, but I feel like I would want to see the GM say, you know what, Brian, we're gonna remove you. It's no hard feelings. I know we're buddy, but we're gonna go a different direction and elevate Mike Kafka as the next head coach, and we'll get into him in quite a second because I have a whole lot to say about him. But Joe Schoen just talked, and I hope he understood everyone's question, because that's how he started every single question, whether it's from Pat Leonard or any other beat reporter. I understand your question. I do, and I'm going to say it. I'm not going to go into everything, but, we have a good team. We have good pieces. Which is all true, 100%. That is all true. The Giants are building something. That is 100% correct, but the problem is I don't know really if Joe Schoen knows that he's probably gone. I know John Mara did say that he's doing the head coaching search. I do understand that. And a lot of if you asked a lot of the Giants fans, they'd probably say Joe Schoen it shouldn't be the GM for the next season and going into the draft with the number 2 overall pick. If you asked any Giants fan, they will say that. Obviously, he's the GM. He has given us something. He has given us something, right? He traded for Brian Burns, right? He got Abdul Carter. He got you your franchise guy, even though it was Daboll's guy. I will stand by that. That was not Joe Schoen. Joe Schoen wanted Shedeur Sanders. And I'll die on that hill because I believe that is what those two thought. And, Brian Daboll gets canned, obviously, for blowing all the leads. And that's not Joe Schoen's fault. That is Brian Daboll's fault. And the inexperience of being up in games showed, and they couldn't finish any football games, and that does lie on the head coach. But getting back to the pros and cons, right? I don't even want to go into really the Saquon situation because that's something else, right? Now, you can replace a running back, and I believe that we have a good running back room, so I'm not really going to flame Joe Schoen because he didn't re-sign Saquon and brought back Darius Slayton and all that. But that is one of the big cons, right? He brings back Darius Slayton on a 3-year deal, pays him pretty good money, and Darius Slayton has been very bad. I still wanted Xavier McKinney. I know he was going to get a big price tag, but I really wanted him back, and obviously they moved on from, to Javon Holland, which I understand, right? He's younger, still is a solid football player, right? I understand that decision. But the biggest thing from that press conference, too, is that, he kept telling the reporters, we have pieces, we have a good team and all this. And they would just relay back and say, but you only have 2 wins, right? You are 5-25, I think they said, in your last 30 games. You have the worst record since 2017. And, that is true, right? The Giants have not been a good football team in any sense. They've shown some hope, and then, it comes crashing down, right? They showed hope at the start of this season, or really the start of the Jackson Dart era, and then Malik Neighbors goes down with their torn ACL. Then Scatterby goes down against Philadelphia, and, those are 2 huge pieces to the offense, and it was really fun to watch the offense when those 3, were really on the field together, but you didn't really get a lot of it, so that's obviously disappointing. But, getting back to, I guess we'll dive into Mike Kafka, and I'm going to say this in the shortest way, that he's not the guy, and, I think he knows that. I think just the way he's coached, he knows the players are just there and they're going to show up to the games because they have to, even though they know he knows and us fans know the Giants' big-time players are probably not going to give their best efforts, right? Because they have 2 wins, right? And they're probably only going to have 2 wins because I don't even know if I could see this team beating the Vikings or the Raiders. Where those were really the 2 games that I saw on their schedule left that I think they could win the football game because they have Jackson Dart and they have something, but I don't see it. This defense can't stop a nosebleed. They can't stop a bald spot if they had a hat. They can't do anything. And you fire Shane Bowen and you think, maybe this defense has a little bit of juice. Nope. Not Philadelphia. New England out-physicals them, hurting our guys, just destroying them. And, I mean, that's a confident football team, right? The New England Patriots are very solid. But, the problem with the Giants is they never showed that. I think even with the guys that when they were healthy, they were never that physical. And that's what it comes to. You got to play a physical game to show your identity. And the Giants' identity is that they lose, and they're a bunch of losers. That is the Giants' identity, and that's an issue. And, Joe Schoen takes accountability. This is my fault, everything. But when is the change going to happen? When are we going to see a 9-win, 10-win football team again? Because we can't even get past 5, 6-11, then, 3-14, and now we're sitting at 2 wins. Don't really see another win on the table. They're probably going to pick either first or second, depending how Tennessee finishes out their season. If they squeak a win, the Giants might have the first overall pick in the draft. And it's weird because, do the Giants trade back? Do they draft Caleb Downs to help the secondary? Do they draft the linebacker out of Ohio State who's really solid? And they release Okereke? So, a lot of questions, man. And I'm pissed off that press conference was worthless, honestly. And I didn't even talk about it. We're 7 minutes into this. Joe Schoen was late. If we were 13 or 10-2 or something, or whatever the record is through the past 13 weeks, and my GM showed up late, and we were the record that the Patriots are, okay. That press conference was supposed to start at 1:45, and then we were honestly questioning, including myself. I didn't actually post it on Twitter, but was John Mara going to end up coming out of this press conference and say, Joe Schoen's been fired. Joe Schoen is gone. Joe Schoen is gone. We fired him. I'm doing the press conference. I'll take any of your questions. I had a little bit in that. That's why my brain was twirling around in a 360 because I thought they were going to fire him right on the spot, honestly, with how embarrassing that other game was. But Joe Schoen ended up taking the press conference, was late. Over 30 minutes late, I think. Something like that. Just embarrassing, and that's just how the team has gone. I mean, I don't know why he was late. I don't think any of the reporters actually asked, hey, Joe, why were you late? And then Joe would say, I understand your question. Things happen. I had a long talk with ownership coming into this. Had a PR train myself, so I answer your questions correctly. But, I mean, we're going through the same cycle again. We can't find a GM that works. Can't find a head coach that works. It's tough, man. It is so tough because I'm a diehard fan. And it's so hard to talk about these games. And I know the last 2 previews did not come out because I don't want to repeat myself and I don't want you guys to sit through that. But, a tough season for the New York Giants, obviously. Probably have some mock drafts upcoming, maybe at the bye week upcoming for you guys because I know those do very well on the channel. Obviously, we are the New York Sports Pod. We talk about the Rangers, Giants, and the New York Yankees. Going to have content, all that throughout this week. But that is going to do it for this video. I'm your host, Vin, of the New York Sports Pod, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Subscribe and leave a comment on your thoughts on Joe Schoen and the press conference. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.